Okay, 1778, good luck. So we've not played before, we have no head-to-head score there. So opponent, 1400 games of Rapid, very good, that's more than I've done. 900-ish, not far off 1000, not too far. Okay, what do we want to do? I'm just going to bring my bishop out this game and maybe look to develop. Maybe a London structure for this one. We could still do the Reti principle that we normally do, but let's maybe just go more of a London game this one, just that little bit of variety. Okay, so that stops this sort of idea. So I'm just going to bring the bishop up. You just got to watch out for this sort of concept, which can happen. So just got to be paying attention, not allow the pawn to get 2 squares forward. The knight up might be a move here. Bishop up, takes, back. I think I'll just castle. Not really a big issue, even if we got that line. I could play c4, I guess. Now here, you can take, you can drop back, or you can just leave it where it is and allow black to take. How do I want to do it? I think I'm going to drop back. Now I've just got to get my knight into place somewhere, complete our minus piece development. It's whether we push the pawn up first, and we might end up doing this sort of structure. So we could do that. It's a little bit more attacking than just going up 1, isn't it? So let's push it up 2. No need to do any pre-moves, it is rapid chess. I mean, some pre-moves are obviously obvious. You could do one there, of course, I guess, but not essential. It gives me a nice square for the knight, potentially. Okay, so he has allowed that, but I'm just going to bring the knight up first. And then maybe rook across and think about pushing the e-pawn as well. Or the rook here, maybe drop the bishop back. If takes here, I probably do need to take back. I don't think I can really risk sacking the pawn. It's an option, but I don't think it's too good. But we both got our kings castled. Largely completed development. We just got playable positions. Now we just got to come up with some sort of plan. Now I'd seen that move, so I can drop back now. I can push up and allow this and create an imbalance. It gives us a little bit extra development, doesn't it? I could move rook over first. Takes, take. Actually, I'm going to do that. I'll allow my opponent the option to take here. Just go for development. There's only one bishop per opponent, not both of them, so it's a little bit less risky. And I'm still just wondering whether I can get away with pushing here. There's something like this. Maybe the rook in the center first. Yeah, comes up. So it is an option. I'm going to play it actually, because if you don't take, then we're going to push on again and get a nice structure potentially. And of course, if you do take either way, then we'll take back with the knight. I may be going a little bit too quick here. I've still barely used a minute. So opponents using their early time that little bit wiser. Okay, it does take the other way, so it's fine to take back here. So we've got 2 center pawns. They can become a target, but the rook can come behind. We can push on at some point. So you could try and get very aggressive, but right now I think we're okay to take the pawn. So I'm just looking at rook across depending on what my opponent does. You got to find a nice square for that bishop if you can do. Like maybe queen up, pawn up, bishop up, something like that. Okay, the knight comes forward. So what's the idea there? This sort of concept would be nice, or this, but obviously right now the knight covers these squares. So I think we're okay just to bring our rook across here. Knight back could be a move if needed. I mean, queen up. There's pressure, isn't there? So do we want to shift that knight? Here, queen up. There up, queen across. We can always then drop back and deal with the knight, I guess. Yeah, I like the idea of doing it that way. It might be a mistake, but Queen up might be the idea to put pressure on the pawn. I mean, if we're in doubt, we could always move a rook back, but maybe pawn up, and if the queen goes across, knight back. Now the queen's gone that way, so that's the idea. You're trying to come here and create a threat. Now the knight does cover it. Well, like I say, we can drop back and just deal with the knight immediately. That's probably the safer option, or we can even push the pawn on. Now, would you go really crazy and try and push there? You might do. Yeah, I'm going to drop the knight back, I think. Just try and deal with that knight immediately. Now, we've got a pretty nice position here. It's difficult to find a way to actually break through and create a clear chance, but it's a pretty, at least, playable position, so no need to take silly risks and allow the queen to get into our side of the board. I mean, we can even play b4 potentially and chase the queen as well and get a tempo deal with our pawn there. So check now, I'll just obviously drop the king back. There's no other moves to think about there, so we don't need to think about that one. We just drop back. And then at some point we need to push the pawns, and it might be worth looking at d5 and then try and smash the center open. And if you don't take, we're threatening to take the pawn. So here, say rook across. Take, take, take. Everything's covered. Yeah, the bishop's come forward, so the idea is to try and put the bishop here. So we could play knight out wide and try and come in. Hit the bishop. I mean, rook across is fine, so you're not losing anything. Knight here might drive you back, or knight here now might just blunder this. It does blunder that, doesn't it? So pawn on, say you push up. Queen up is then a move. Takes, take. It's opening things up. But is it dubious? Because I could go this way as well. Actually, I prefer that, I think. I prefer that, to try and keep that bishop restricted, at least for now. But it invites a little bit of trouble, potentially. So we might have to try and trade queens or something. It does invite this sort of break. But it also gives my knight the potential if my opponent doesn't do that. If you do, maybe we might have to look at rook up and across, or queen back to trade the queen. Before the rook gets too active, pressure on the pawn. That's exactly what he's gone for. So do we want to close that down with f4? Do we want queen back? We've got one chance to take. I don't really want to take and open the file for the rook. So I'm actually looking at f4, but again, that invites trouble, doesn't it? So what about queen back? Actually, I've got knight back and maybe knight round and go here and hit the queen. See if my opponent really flies forward, but knight back, if you do, it's a dead end, isn't it? Yeah, I'm going to drop the queen back. I'm quite happy to play end games with anybody and everybody, so I'll drop the queen back there. The opponent's still got 5 minutes though, so they've got bags of time. And I've given myself a weakness here, haven't I? So what do I do with this? If he pushes on here, I think I'm fine to take, so I probably need to go here now. So I'm going to threaten to jump in and try and restrict this bishop, or even trade the bishop at some point. Because I've given myself a weakness now. I've pushed this pawn, and the pawn's got one as well, especially if the bishop falls. So we've got two potential options here. Here, we're probably fine just to take and maybe try and lift a rook and come across somewhere. Let's see what black does. Excuse me, so rook across. So do we want either of these? I prefer knight to c5, I think. Put pressure on the pawn in case you push this way. We threaten to trade here. So I'm going to go here. Threaten to trade and then maybe queen up and just put some gentle pressure on the pawn, but it's not easy. This could become a big weakness, couldn't it? A very big weakness. Although that might give me queen up now to attack, and you might have to actually come straight back. Yeah, that's a relatively straightforward move to play. Now 2 attack and 1 defend. You could come back. That's about the only move, isn't it? But what else do we do though? Maybe chuck these pawns forward. Here, if you take or take, that seems good for black, so I don't think I can push this one. So bishop back if we trade. Again, there's no easy obvious way through. Yeah, he's gone back there. So I assume I just want to push my pawns now. Try and gain a bit more space. Gives me an option to come back and guard the pawn if I need to. I'd like the knight here. I don't quite see how to do that. Maybe here and something happens and we jump around, but there's a big risk then. Might even still do this. Might do. Takes, queen takes. Then what have we got? I mean, I guess rook across if we need to. Yeah, he's launched one forward, but now our knight is planted safely there. So I think we just drop our queen back here. If down, we can always reinforce the pawn. If down, we can trade and maybe come across. Now, do we want to go up 2 here? Push. I'm actually wondering whether trade is an option. Knight in and come round might be the option as well here now. Knight in to come here, hit the queen, but does it achieve anything? I'm not sure it does. I'm looking at rook up as well with a view to trying to push here and come across. I like the look of that more. Or here. Actually, that's a plan, isn't it? Let's go here. Maybe threaten to take and undermine the c6 pawn. If he comes here, I can always maybe push up. I even potentially just take and then queen across, attack the rook. Threaten to take. Okay, he's gone across to guard. So can we chuck this at some point? I'm looking at rook up, but more as a distraction move with a view to sacking here and coming across. Keep this one here in case we need to come over. So here, down we can still do this idea. We're still prepared to gang up on the pawn and trade here. Yeah, so he's seen that idea, but I don't think he's seen the idea of pushing here. But is it actually any good? Do we go across and then push up? Actually, there's no harm in doubling the rooks up first, but I'm looking at moving this rook across with a view to playing pawn forward and trying to open the other side. Yeah, he's come forward, so I assume we can come up here, but we could just potentially take. Then what? Knight takes, queen takes, he's fine. So pawn up, take, take. Yeah, it must be good to play a pawn up and just take back. And maybe queen back and challenge for the open file. I'm up that little bit of valuable time on the clock. So he's getting aggressive. He's going for a sacrifice. So take, he takes, and we take here, and we hit this one as well. That might be a fatal mistake. So here, if rook takes, we can take, and there was no point moving the rook. If queen takes, we can take. Either way, we hit this pawn. Now, this could be loose as well, but we're threatening to take here and crash through. Now, I can't really stop an attack here, but if he takes, I can take and just drop back. But there is a potential mating issue here, so I think I need to get proactive now and start marching forward. Now, this pawn is going to be loose if you take either way, so is this and this. So we're getting to a point now we could actually maybe do with trading the queens. And then I've still got a choice. Do I take here and deflect the rook? If I allow this, the rooks don't move right now, and then you're threatening just to create a bit of a problem on the back rank, and here would be obviously a mate threat. Okay, he's gone with the queen, so I assume I just take here and threaten to check, or threaten to take with the rook. Yeah, that's got to be right. I've got to pay attention here, because there is a chance for him to crash his rook through. But if I take here with the rook, we create a discovered check threat. It might be nothing, it might be absolutely nothing. You know, just shift your king somewhere and you might be perfectly fine. We're threatening to also take here, but he could just grab this pawn. And maybe rook across, he can grab this pawn as well, but then we can take, and that's dangerous then. Oh, he has gone for that one, so surely we can just take here first now. But what do we do if he plays rook takes? We'd have a double check, which means you'd only have one legal move. Queen in, up, queen check. Adam, would you have that? Yeah, you would. Here, if you take, you attack our queen, but we can give a double check. So you have to move the king. You've only got one legal square. Queen check, king up, rook check. King can step up, and you're actually fine, I think. I don't see the follow-up. So I think I need to take here first. And then if rook down, maybe then take. But this is where there is the danger of the back rank, but it's the same for both of us. We've both got doubled up rooks. So you can see there's an issue here, and then if I get here, the queen is it is a mate threat, but potentially we can trade everything off. Not easy, not easy, but we've got that time on the clock. Okay, the king's come forward. I wasn't even looking at that move. So can we go here now? And that gives my king a bailout square, doesn't it? Threaten to take. Yeah. But here, if you come down here, we can't pin the queen. You actually take the rook, so I've seen that. Here stops this, but you've still got this. So I like this move. If down, I guess we just drop back. And if down here, we can always go forward. So I'm looking at this move just to try and take and open things up. I mean, he could do this and it could be fine for him, but I can't burn all the clock. I've got to play something, but I don't think he would have thought of that move, so it might use some valuable time. Oh, he's played it quickly, though. He played it very quickly, didn't he? So maybe he had seen it. So what about rook here, then? I'm going to take a chance here, and I'm going to try and get my rooks forward and just trust I'm not getting checkmated, but yeah, I might actually get checkmated because he's found that move. So rook forward now blunders the back rank, so that's no good. So I'm going to push my pawn, and right now I could even drop rook back and guard. I can take first and guard. But queen in here, and there's a threat, serious threat, so he's taken. No, I can take with a rook, but the queen has to be right, I think. Okay, he's gone back. So I think I push on here and threaten a check. Hit the pawn. Actually, maybe rook back. Or rook here. No, I like the idea actually to triple stack. So if he comes down, we've still got the option to potentially check. Or have we? Have we? Rook takes, queen takes. Rook couldn't take back. So actually, maybe not. Maybe we've made a mistake there. Wasted a move, but he hasn't punished it. Oh, that we can take and we create a checkmate threat. Yeah, that's a mistake. So it creates a mate threat. He's getting low on time, and we've used a lot of our extra time that we had, but I think this was the issue. I've been blundering with this in combination, but it looks like we're going to get away with it. There's a mate in one threat. Yeah, that's checkmate. Unlucky. Let's see what it was in engine language, but I think rook to a1 for a few moves was a big threat there. So let's pause so we don't accidentally start another game, and let's see if we have indeed blundered there. So 39 moves are the move times for both players. Let's request an analysis. Were we actually in danger at the end there? Just plus 0.6 here. So we've been basically level or slightly better for the entire game. 86 versus 79 on the accuracy. So there would have been a defense at the end if we found it, but we might not have found it, of course. Let's have a quick flick through. See, nothing's been flagged until we get to move 12 there. There's just some inaccuracies. There's a few blunders from each of us, as you can see. So we'll find out where they were. This is fine, we're all just that little bit better. Yeah, I should have been playing this pawn forward, not this one. That was probably a fundamental mistake to try and break the centre open, because I didn't actually break it open, did I? So still e5 I should have done to cut this idea instead of dropping the knight back. A bit too passive. So that was actually a blunder. But we're still getting that a little bit better. Then eventually I've done e5. And then probably at some point, I'm guessing I should have gone d5 instead. queen back was actually a blunder offering the trade. I should have taken on passant and not worried about this file opening. Looks a bit scary, but that's what I should have done. This is all fine. See, nothing's been flagged. Now, rook there I should not have done. I should have gone for this idea, yeah. I was looking at, wasn't I, to push the pawn through, and that's what I should have actually done. So 1.8 to 1. It lost 0.8, not too bad, but still plenty of inaccuracies. So it was okay to take the bishop there. Take the pawn is good. I should not have taken back here, though. I should have played the rook takes. Not worried about this, so maybe that idea was okay. So rook takes king h7 immediately is the right move. Just get the king straight out of the way. And then bring the rook back to d6. That's what I should have done. So we should have taken king up and then rook back to d6. Right, so that was then a blunder. So I should not have pushed up there. Rook to d6 again was the right move instead of g4. And then, yeah, I should have just taken the pawn here and not played rook to d1. But did he ever have... Yeah, he did rook to a1. That's the move here. What he should have done. And then the idea is just simply rook to f1. Rook to a1 and just play the rook calmly back to f1. If you take. If you check, I'll have to step up, but there's no actual checkmate threat. You can't check here with the queen. The queen's not getting in a hurry and you've got your own king to think of. So as long as I found rook f1, I was actually fine. As long as we found that, we were fine. And then pawns in the end just either missed the checkmate threat, getting very low on time there. But still a decent effort, wasn't it, considering the rating gap there. So well done.